WiiM have made a soundbar. It was an obvious gap in the lineup, having made some excellent network streamers and amplifiers, and then recently some speakers and a sub. The only thing missing in order to complete the home cinema setup was a soundbar. This is the WiiM Bar, and this is a review of how it performs when it's combined with the Sub Pro and the Sound and Sound Lite as rears. So let's find out if it's as hot as the British summer we're currently experiencing. Quickly, before we do that, my name is Tim Hancock. I am a reviewer for AVForums. AVForums is one of the largest online tech communities, and there's loads of excellent reviews on gaming, hi-fi and home cinema. And there's also a review of this WiiM home cinema system, so go check that out and the other stuff all on avforums.com. Right, let's get into it. As the newest product, I'm going to spend a little bit of time telling you about the WiiM Bar itself. It's built really well. It's got this attractive gloss black top. On the top there's a proximity sensor, so a bit like with the sound speakers, as you approach it, it reveals some basic functions. It's 106 centimeters wide, so that's very typical of a sort of give or take a 48-inch TV. It's 8 centimeters tall, so it's quite easy to fit in underneath your TV. Around the back, you've got an HDMI optical line in and USB input along with the Ethernet. And in the box, you get an HDMI cable, optical cable, the remote control and a wall bracket if you want to mount it. Now, the most notable difference with most soundbars is this screen in the middle. This is similar to what we see on a WiiM sound speaker. It's a 2.1-inch touchscreen LCD, and it's really useful. It means that you can navigate through to various features that you want to find. I found in daily usage just the ability to flick through to presets and hit radio 2 and just listen to music without necessarily having the remote or a device to hand. Just being able to do that was quite handy. And in home cinema arrangement, the EARC screen is quite handy in terms of telling you both signal information and whether you've got the subwoofer and the rears engaged. On its own, it's a 3.0.2 configuration. There's actually 8 drivers in here. You've got a mid-bass and tweeter for left, center and right, and then your 2 upward firing drivers. They're actually combined with 4 passive radiators, 2 on the front, 2 on the back, to help them out and give it a little bit more punch. There's 135 watts of power available to you with the WiiM Bar, and it handles DTS:X and Dolby Atmos amongst others. So what you can do is take that 3.0.2 and add the Sub Pro and the rears, and that gives you your 5.1.2 full home cinema configuration. Let me tell you a little bit about the other parts of this system. Taking care of bass duties is the WiiM Sub Pro. It's a hefty unit at 16 kilograms, but quite elegant looking. It features an 8-inch downward firing driver that's powered by a 250 watt Class D amplifier. It's rated down to 35 Hz at plus or minus 3 dB, so it's not the deepest subwoofer in the world, but it's certainly enough to add some punch and slam to proceedings. For rears, they're rated at 100 watts each. They both feature one 4-inch paper cone for the mid-bass, and then there's twin 1-inch silk dome tweeters, which are outward firing to add a little bit of width. So I've introduced you to all the components in the system. The next thing you have to do when using it is add each of the WiiM units to your network. That's a really simple process. Plug the units in, open the WiiM Home app, and more often than not you get a prompt and you just follow the instructions on the screen to add them. You may need to hit add device. It was incredible to me that as I plugged in the sub, the bar and the 2 rears, each one popped up and it was very easy to add them to the app. At this stage, you're ready to take advantage of one of the really cool features of WiiM products, which is Roomfit. Now, Roomfit is their proprietary room EQ technology, which means it's going to take measurements of your room and adjust the speakers to perform the best they can. And WiiM have decided to make this super easy to do, so you don't actually need any additional equipment. They'll use the microphone in the device that you've got, your phone or your tablet. So you simply put the device that you're using as close to the listening position as you can do, go through to the menus, follow the on-screen instructions. It's really very easy to do. And the result will be that a frequency sound will be played out of each device, and your phone will measure that, and then you can apply that correction to the sound. Now, for people that really want to get technical on this, WiiM does actually allow calibration microphones and their calibration files to be inserted into it. So if it's something you really want to get into, you can do. For the more casual user, this is super easy to do, and I recommend you do it. I did it device by device. So I started with the soundbar, then the sub, then each of the rears in turn. In terms of grouping, the WiiM units, there's always a lead unit. In this case, in a home cinema, it will be the bar. The subwoofer is slightly different in the sense that the subwoofer could be connected to any one of the speakers. So the first thing you do is add the subwoofer to the bar. Once you've done that, the final thing to do is to just add the sound and Soundlite speakers as the rear. You go to the settings for the bar itself, scroll down to enable home theatre, and just nominate which one you want to be in left and right. Like most things with regards to the WiiM, it's really easy to do. And at that point, you're ready to start enjoying the performance. Before I get into sonic performance, one of the things I really do want to highlight is just the way it performs in terms of setup. It really was so easy to do, to add all the units to the WiiM Home app. It's really easy to run the Roomfit, and it's really easy to add the sound speakers as rears. And I think that's really important with a system like this, because home cinema can, to some people, seem quite complicated and confusing, and this takes a lot of that stress out. And one of the other bits of real high praise I can give you is that when I unplugged my AVR in order to set up this system, I did leave it, which means other members of my family through the weeks that I had it would have come along and listened to it and watched whatever they were watching. And not once did I get a complaint about that, meaning that through the TV's remote, everything fired up when it was meant to and was obviously controllable the way it was meant to be. And I think that's a super important point too. So on firing up the WiiM Home Cinema system, you're dealt a very vibrant and exciting sound. One of the first films I watched was Avatar: Fire and Ash. Objects pan across the screen and in the sound field quite convincingly, especially on the horizontal plane. So as arrows are shot, you do get a sense of them moving in the direction they're meant to. The scale is actually quite impressive. The whole system was easily able to fill this relatively large lounge, so I didn't find I was lacking in terms of volume at all. The rears did a good job of being quite subtle. They just gave you that kind of feel and atmosphere and helped pull the sound field from the bar and out and into the room in a really convincing way. One of the things I would say is that I did feel that for me personally, I had to raise the volume of the rears a little bit, and that's really easy to do. You can just use the sliding volumes within the app until you get that good balance. Another example where the WiiM Home Cinema system is really strong is vocal intelligibility. The detail levels are really good, and vocals in particular are crisp and defined, and that means that you really don't feel like you're missing out on any kind of detail regardless of what you're watching. Even things that are sedate like BBC News, you can really hear what is being said, and I think that's really important and something that people really look for in a home cinema system. When I watch something like Drive to Survive on Netflix, that's quite interesting, the way that obviously 1 minute you've got these talking heads and it's just coming from a studio, and then it cuts very quickly to a on-track incident, often a crash or something happening, and the pace and attack is really good. Detail levels, as already mentioned, are high, and fine details are present as well. So I was watching The Mandalorian, and a couple of things stood out to me there. I was watching an episode called The Caves of Mandalore. Now there's a fight scene in that, and that's when you really get the effect of the subwoofer. I really liked as blades came down and hit the floor, you definitely got that thump and slam, which is really important. But at the end of that fight, as the Mandalorian sort of pushes a foe off the edge of a precipice, you do get that trail as that person falls, and so you do get that reverb and that sense of space that they are indeed in a cave. With regard to those upward firing drivers, they definitely, as you approach the soundbar, you can hear they're working and they're doing their job. And they definitely help add a little bit of presence and help the overall sound escape the dimensions of the soundbar a little bit. But certainly from the back of the room, I didn't get too much in the way of height information or objects flying above me. And I think that's a little bit too much to ask really from two small drivers in a setting like this. One of the other things is about this system, you can't escape all the laws of physics, and so by having the speakers at the front quite close together, there is a certain narrowness to the sound. And of course, by leaning towards that definition and detail and energy, there is a slight leanness to the sound. So there's a little bit lacking in terms of mid-range warmth and sweetness. But overall, with a cinema, you want it to be punchy and dynamic, and that's exactly what this is. Now, I think a lot of people will rightly want this to be a home entertainment system, so not just do TV or film, but also do music. As we know, being part of the WiiM ecosystem, pretty much every streaming service is supported. The only notable absence here is AirPlay, but there's many ways to get around that, given especially the amount of Connect models that this supports, like Spotify Connect, Qobuz Connect, etc, etc. And on music, it's actually very, very impressive. I could well see people just turning off the TV at the end of a day, and if you do chuck on something like Radio 2 or you listen to your tunes, it's a decent sounding unit, pleasant enough and certainly detailed enough to enjoy some music listening. I've really enjoyed my time with the WiiM home cinema system, and interestingly, my family have too. It's hard to imagine a system like this that's easier to use than this one. It's as close to plug and play as I imagine a system like this could be. Armed with just a Netflix account and a Spotify account, and connect it up to your TV, follow the instructions on the app, and you're ready to really enjoy and extract some super performance from those streaming services that you're paying for. And I definitely think that some of the barriers to a home cinema system are removed by doing it this way, and it's certainly very compelling, and I think it represents terrific value. The products all look really good, the app is rock solid, and everything just worked. And if that was the end of the story, that would be enough. It's a fabulous product and you should definitely go and check it out. But it's when you think about some of the things that I haven't been able to speak about in this video that it can be used as a Room endpoint. The fact that you can plug a USB stick into the WiiM Bar and navigate really easy for a library of music, or indeed use that USB stick in there as a server to other devices. The list goes on, and when you think about WiiM's history of constantly updating this app, for example, multi-microphone measurement point is in beta on the app at the time of speaking, so it feels like even more will be added to it. It's extremely comprehensive in terms of what it can do and what streaming services it supports, as well as its performance and ease of use. It's an absolute win, and that's why it's absolutely no problem at all to highly recommend this product. As always, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think. Give us a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. And until then, keep on grooving.